Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. I especially want to thank Ambassador Ken Hackett for the invitation to reflect the perspective of United States women on this important question. We in the Catholic Church in the United States often have to remind ourselves that while we have plenty of opinions and perspectives, we are only 6% of the universal church. As a developed country with significant wealth and an obligation to use that wisely, promoting the roles women play can make a significant impact worldwide. It is important to remember the words of our Holy Father in Evangelium Gaudium. The mere fact that some people are born in places with fewer resources or less development does not justify the fact that they are living with less dignity. As we look at this issue, Pope Francis's words apply even more critically to the condition of women in some of these countries. However, whether you are from a developed country or a developing country, there is still much similarity in the talents, competence, and aspirations of women. When I was preparing for this talk, I asked myself, who really cares what I think? I'm a 71-year-old sister. I am not the future of the church. So I began canvassing, talking to high school senior girls, college women from DePaul University and Georgetown University, Hispanic women in the United States, and other Catholic women, both professional and non-professional. You will not be surprised to learn that the most universal finding was that they love Pope Francis, and they have such hope in him. The high school seniors expressed it simply by saying, "We understand what he says, and we like it." This sentiment was echoed, perhaps in more sophisticated ways, by all the other women. They have been heartened by his public recognition that the church needs to, in his words, broaden the opportunities for a stronger presence of women in the church, and also his commitment that the presence of women must also be guaranteed in the workplace and in various other settings where important decisions are made, both in the church and in social structures. Uniformly, all the women expressed a desire to have a more meaningful roles in the church and a sense that a church that continues to make its most critical decisions using only half of the talent God has gifted it with is being deprived and is also undervaluing God's gifts. It is encouraging that women from the United States seem to be on the same page as the Pope when it comes to the importance of strengthening the leadership in the church by women. The challenge becomes how to do this, and it is important, I think, to remember several things. First, ordination is not essential to every leadership role in our church. Second, in addition to reaping the value of the talent and insight of women, having them play leadership positions has the potential for our church to play a major role in raising up the dignity of women in cultures and countries where it is underappreciated, often to the point of oppression and abuse. There was universal agreement that better decisions will be made using the input of women. However, as we try to implement this, we must abandon a mentality in our church of tokenism that continues a style of participation that allows women to come listen or participate in important issues in a second-class role. This only perpetuates the myth of the lesser value and lesser dignity of women. Third, while there are significant cultural differences in women around the world, that should not be a barrier. We need to be committed to the fact that we can transcend these as we move in this direction. It need not be divisive, and in fact, it can be very uniting among women. Women must be prepared to help each other succeed in these roles, and we must be willing to do the work necessary to develop the appropriate education and competencies to handle various leadership roles. From a United States perspective, women are becoming used to seeing strong and competent women in leadership in many roles in secular society, and some in the church. Today, many are pointing out that the national organizations that represent the church's major ministries in the United States, Catholic Relief Services, Catholic Education, Catholic Charities, and the Catholic Health Association, are all led by women. At the same time, women expressed a concern that decisions about issues they have experience and competence in, such as marriage, family life, pastoral practices, are often made without any input from them at every level in our church, from the Vatican to their parish. Women want to be of service. They want to spread the good news, the message of the mercy of God, the joy of the gospel, but can at times feel they are not valued for or allowed to use the gifts God has given them. This is a moment of great opportunity for our church, and it can be so enriching. It will not happen by tinkering around the edges. It will take prayer, dialogue, discernment, and a willingness to truly do things differently. The results can be such a service to the people of God. Imagine recommendations coming from a meeting, a congregation, or pontifical council that clearly reflect the realities of life, its joys and challenges. Imagine those recommendations accurately reflecting the sense of the faithful, because the faithful have been part of the dialogue and decision, not because a century has gone by during which they have ignored the teaching, so now we abandon it because we know the sense of the faithful. The women I talk to glory in being women. They see that they bring something different and special to the church. They appreciate the roles and gifts of men and believe firmly that our church is better served when the gifts of both men and women are used. There is so much creativity in our church, and it is enhanced by prayer and dialogue, and so I believe we can make significant progress. The church uses synods of bishops to get input from her bishops. Can she use synods of women, synods of families, or others that have a real potential to contribute to strengthening our church? Can they be used to discern how to integrate the gifts of women into significant leadership roles in the church at every level, from the Vatican to our parishes? This initiative of Pope Francis is such a significant moment in the church. It will speak volumes to both men and women in the church about the love God has for each of us and the importance to our church of all her children. Thank you very much.